Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today I'm going to be kicking off my mini Countdown to Christmas series. I wasn't going to do this originally, and I wasn't going to do this video, but why not? Originally I was sat here thinking, you'll see from the title what this is. This is me talking about the intimidating books that I have conquered in 2024, and I don't actually have that many, if I'm completely honest. And I was thinking as I was sat there checking my numbers that actually maybe this isn't worth talking about because I don't think that I've read enough chunky books. And then I stopped myself and I went, no, even reading one book that you, me, whoever considers chunky is an achievement. So I'm going to be talking to you about the 6 chunky books that I managed to conquer in 2024, and these are all over 600 pages. That was my benchmark. I have been reading predominantly between 350 and 450 pages, so these are definitely out of my comfort zone for page count. And I thought, what better way than to share them with you, and I also loved them, so I might as well recommend them to you. I'm going to talk about the first 3 together because it's actually a series. It is the Legacy Trilogy by Matthew Ward, which 2 are shiny and 1 is not, which annoys me greatly, but it's this series. All of the books are over 600 pages, and I'm only going to hold up this one, which is the very first book, while I talk about them because my arms are apparently really weak. So this is a completed trilogy. All of the books are out, so you can read all of them now, and I loved this series. The second book was definitely my favourite. The second book was the only one I gave 5 stars, and I feel like the first one does take a little bit of time to get going, but personally, what do you expect? It's this big. Like, it needs to have a lot of context and world building, in my opinion, and that's how I love my books as well. So I'm so glad that I finally managed to actually finish this series. I've got a whole spoiler reading vlog if you're interested, or if you haven't seen it, I'll link it up here for you. Definitely worth checking out. It is quite funny now looking back on that vlog and filming it, and how I originally didn't want it to be including any spoilers, but that's kind of difficult when you're reading a whole trilogy in any sense, whether it's this chunky or less or whatever. And I will say, a quick disclaimer, I know that over 600 pages for some people is not chunky, and that's cool, and I also know that some people don't read 600 plus page books, and that's also cool. Read whatever you want to read, count whatever you want to count as chunky, and let's all just enjoy reading, because that's one of the things I definitely need to get better at next year, is the whole competitive reading thing. And I'm just going to be competitive with myself, but that's a whole different, that's a reading resolutions video coming later this week. But back to this series. We are following so many points of view, which is one of the things I loved about this whole series, is that you are experiencing and getting to know characters all over the map in this book, which is really great fun. And I just loved this book. Don't get too attached to too many characters, because bad things happen to so many people, but I kind of want to reread this already, which is bonkers. But I'm so glad that I actually managed to finish this series. There are spoiler filled chats on both mine and Lisa's channel. I'll link Lisa down below, and you can go back and watch them for our full thoughts. It's very hard though to talk about these books because so much happens. I don't even know how I'd be able to describe to you every single thing that happens, but this is filled with political intrigue. The very first book has got one of the longest battles I think I've ever read. It dragged a little bit for me personally, however the following books I liked because it had a lot of action, but it was more short and snappy than just one continuous big scale battle, which was pretty cool. So you get both if you are interested in both. I read this next one audibly, and that is The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. I believe book 2 for this is already out, but we don't know how long the series is going to be or when the next book is coming out, which terrifies me greatly because now I'm kind of invested in this. I will say again, actually probably for all of these, the start of these books take a while to get to the point, because again, it's chunky, there's a lot going on. However, on the blurb of this book, We are talking about Aaron, who is one of our main characters. He ends up going to prison with his best friend after his father has been executed for treason, and they're doomed to work until they die. And then they get broken out by this specific character. However, that doesn't happen until well into this book, like well over 100 pages, which can be a little bit daunting for some people, and I completely understand. However, for me, this book, I thought the payoff was great. I'm so intrigued to carry on. However, the only thing that is stopping me from carrying on with this series is literally because I do not know when the next one is coming out, and I do not know what the plan is for this series, because I don't want to get too invested by reading the next book and then just being caught on a ledge, you know, not knowing what's happening or when the next one is coming, and that terrifies me so much. But again, this is very much fantasy, epic fantasy, and even on the back it says, if you like Brandon Sanderson, you'll love this. I have not read Brandon Sanderson. That may be or may not be the plan for 2025, but I really enjoyed this. So if Brandon Sanderson for me is anything like this, then I'm gonna love it. The fifth book that I conquered is The First Binding by R.R. Verdi. This is chunky in hardback form, it is chunky in paperback form, I believe. This is the first book in, I believe it's currently sold as a trilogy, but there's going to be more. I was very lucky to be part of an interview with R.R. Verdi, with Lisa on Lisa's channel. We had a great time talking all things this series and upcoming plans as well. Book 2 has released, so I've got that on my shelf, and I was hoping to read that this year, but it's just not happened, unfortunately, which sucks. I have started it, but I've soft DNF for the moment because I need to not take so many books into 2025 that I'm currently reading. At the start of this book, we meet Ari as he is in present day, and he is a storyteller, and then we do get a flashback to basically Ari's beginnings, where he's come from, and that is where I got hooked. I really enjoyed seeing the backstory. I love context. I love seeing where characters have come from, and we definitely get that within this book. This main character goes through so much within, I would say, a short space of time. It's not short, it's very chunky, but in the grand scheme of things, a short space of time within his life, he goes through so many things, and I cannot wait to carry on and pick up the next book, because the writing style within this I loved. I love R.R. Verdi's writing style, which I did not know I needed in my life. 100% recommend this book. Again, it's another book that takes a little while to get started, but once you are there, honestly, he takes you on such an amazing journey. And this author as well is probably one of the most in-depth authors I've ever had the luxury of being able to interview. Just talking to him about his research process on all things, the books that he writes, and just in general, was amazing. He's honestly, I love when authors go in depth into what they're writing about, so that we, the reader, actually get the context that we need. 100% this is there. If you haven't checked out this series, definitely check it out, because it'll be well worth your time. And then the final chunky book that I managed to conquer this year is none other than Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. I am so glad that I've actually picked up the sequel to this book, although I know the third book will not be out probably until 2027, because we've heard nothing about it, and I think they've been taking about 2 years to come out. I will wait, because I know it's going to come. I just know it. This series is so good. I love Jay Kristoff's writing. This is the first series that I'm up to date on, because I'm behind on everything else. But I loved this. I love the main characters. Again, it's a middle book in a trilogy, but I don't feel like it's got any slumping in it. We're still learning more things about characters. We're still going on journeys. There are still plot points being hit that we, the reader, don't necessarily see coming. The ending of this book, I have no idea where they're gonna go from here, because there is, in my eyes, nowhere they can go, but obviously there must be, because there will be an end point to this story. I am just so excited about his next book and anything else he writes, because I really enjoy his writing style and the brashness of his characters. They're all morally grey, they're all good and bad, no one is perfect. I love that in characters, because it's just so human, and some of the heartbreak in this book, honestly, it was just too much. So if you haven't checked out Emperor of the Vampire, which is the first book, you really should. And again, they're chunky, but they are worth it. The world is rich. The audiobooks are fantastic as well. If you are more of an audio reader, definitely check them out via audio. The narrator does a fantastic job. But yeah, those are 6 of the intimidating books, or books that I would class as intimidating and chunky, that I have managed to actually read off of my TBR this year. I think I've had a really nice varied reading journey this year. I am reading a lot of smaller books as well, but I'm hoping that next year is kind of the year that I get back into my large epic fantasy books. I've got so many that I want to read, the main one being sat right behind me here, the Lacanius Trilogy, I think it's called, by James Islington, and I just can't wait. There are so many things, and Brandon Sanderson. Maybe next year will be the year of Brando Sando for me. I don't know. I hope you stick with me and find out as I do. But if you liked this video, please give it a like, really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below of the book that you found intimidating, that you have managed to conquer this year. It doesn't matter about the page count or anything like that, just a book that you found intimidating for whatever reason. Let me know which one you conquered down below. And if you just want to leave me an emoji, leave me a book stack emoji down below to signify all of these chunky books that I've managed to get through. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ringing that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. There will now be a new video up until Christmas Eve, so be sure to come back tomorrow for the next one. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye!
The Christmas tree's on fire, Santa's holding the lighter. My parents are both liars, I got gifts but 1 subscribers. Thanks for the candy basket, oh god, another jacket. My stocking's filled with acid, am I dreaming? What just happened? This